On August 16th, 2025, a group of friends and outdoor enthusiasts set out for an adventure they hoped would bring them closer to nature and to each other. 13 campers pitched their tents under a starry sky in Inner Mongolia's Urat rear banner, far from the noise and bustle of city life. They were seeking peace in the wild, hoping to find solace in the vast, open landscape. The night began quietly, filled with laughter and the crackle of a campfire. The group was miles from civilization, surrounded by ancient, silent hills that had stood for centuries, watching over countless travelers. But tranquility shattered as fierce winds swept in without warning, rattling tents and sending a chill through the air. The stars vanished behind menacing clouds, and the sky turned an ominous shade of black. Rain followed, no gentle shower, but a relentless torrent that hammered the earth, drenching everything in minutes and turning the ground to mud. Inside their tents, the campers listened as the roar grew louder, fear creeping in as the storm intensified. The river outside, once calm and distant, began swelling with terrifying speed, its waters rising higher with every passing minute. By 10 p.m., the ground trembled beneath them, a warning of the disaster about to unfold. The once calm river became a raging wall of water, churning with debris, branches, and the remnants of the wild. There was no time to escape, no chance to gather belongings or warn others. In pitch darkness, the flood tore through the campsite, sweeping away tents, gear, and hope in a matter of moments. It ripped away tents, vehicles, and lives, leaving chaos in its wake. By morning, rescuers found only devastation, shattered dreams and a landscape forever changed. The campsite was now a muddy wasteland, covered in debris and silence where laughter once echoed. The river, still swollen and brown, surged through the floodplain, its power undiminished. It carried away all traces of the night before, erasing memories and evidence alike. Grim reports trickled out. Of 13 campers, only one survived to tell the tale, rescued from the mud and water. What began as a peaceful retreat ended in tragedy, a stark contrast to the serenity that came before. The disaster stands as a stark reminder of nature's power and unpredictability. The flood's suddenness left no chance for warning or escape, overwhelming even the most prepared. This was not just a storm, but a force of nature that changed lives in an instant. In a world where extreme weather grows more common, this disaster was amplified by a changing climate, a warning for us all. The deadly flash flood was the result of geography and extreme weather colliding, a perfect storm of natural forces converging in a matter of hours. The campsite sat in a river valley, a natural funnel for runoff, surrounded by steep hills that channeled water directly toward the low-lying area. When the rain hit, the dry hills couldn't absorb it. Their parched soil acted like concrete, forcing water to race across the surface and pour into the narrow riverbed, creating a sudden, violent flash flood. Water levels rose within minutes, carrying rocks, tree branches, and debris with devastating force, turning the river into a torrent that swept away everything in its path. The real culprit was the sheer intensity of the rainfall, an extraordinary downpour that overwhelmed the landscape's natural defenses. Climate change is making such downpours more frequent and severe, as warmer air holds more moisture, fueling storms that release more water in less time than ever before. What once would have been a heavy storm now becomes a catastrophic event, overwhelming communities and infrastructure that were never designed for such extremes. China's northern regions, once arid and accustomed to drought, are now seeing more extreme rain, catching communities off guard and unprepared for the scale of flooding. The Inner Mongolia flood is a textbook case of a climate-amplified disaster, where shifting weather patterns and rising temperatures have made rare events far more common. Flash floods can strike even if the heaviest rain falls miles away, as water travels rapidly downstream, making these disasters hard to predict and even harder to escape. Understanding these risks and how our changing climate is increasing them is the first step to preventing future tragedies and protecting vulnerable communities. Beyond the numbers, behind the statistics and headlines, the true terror of that night lies in the human stories. Stories of fear, courage, and heartbreak. Imagine a family, Moments before the storm, stargazing together, sharing laughter and warmth, then suddenly retreating as the first drops of rain began to fall. The gentle patter on their tent soon turned to a deafening roar, drowning out all other sounds, and then the ground itself shook as water surged in without warning. Panic erupted as the flood hit, the current overwhelming, the darkness disorienting. In the chaos, people clung to each other, desperately searching for loved ones. The water, thick with mud and debris, pulled people into its grip, a fight for survival against an unstoppable force of nature where every second counted. Only one camper survived, found clinging to debris after hours in the cold water, bearing witness to the chaos and loss that unfolded around them. Their story is one of resilience, but also of profound grief, a reminder of how quickly lives can be changed forever. For families far away, the wait for news was agonizing, each hour stretching endlessly, hope fading with each grim update from the disaster zone. Each casualty confirmed was a devastating blow, turning a place of joy and laughter into one of sorrow and remembrance. The unseen victims are the loved ones left behind, their lives forever changed, carrying memories and loss that will never fade. The flood's impact rippled far beyond the riverbank, leaving scars on the land and in the hearts of those who survived. At dawn, the scale of the disaster was clear. Over 700 rescuers rushed to the scene, navigating a landscape transformed by the flood. Their mission: find the missing, bring closure to families. The search was grueling. Debris, unstable mud, and a still dangerous river hampered every step. Drones scanned the riverbanks, search dogs probed the wreckage, and rescuers waded through treacherous waters. The emotional toll was immense, hope flickering with each discovery. China's Ministry of Emergency Management made the rescue a national priority, coordinating resources and investigation. The operation was about more than recovery. It was a message that every life mattered. Despite technology and manpower, rescuers were at the mercy of the altered landscape. The tragedy underscored the limits of even the best-prepared response. The Inner Mongolia flood was just one in a relentless series of disasters across China in 2025. Record heat, torrential rains, and deadly floods stretched emergency services to the brink. In July, Beijing and Hebei faced historic rainfall, with dozens killed in floods and landslides. Even major cities were overwhelmed, showing that no place is immune to climate-fueled extremes. In August, Tropical Storm Podol flooded southern cities, while flash floods struck the northwest. From north to south, the entire nation was battered. The summer of 2025 became a season of sorrow, exposing China's vulnerability to natural disasters. Rapid development hasn't erased the risks posed by geography and climate. The convergence of disasters demands not just response, but long-term adaptation. China's string of disasters is a warning. Climate change is reshaping the nation's risks. Scientists agree. Decades of emissions have loaded the dice for more frequent, intense weather. China, as the world's largest emitter, now faces the consequences on multiple fronts. Southern regions see stronger typhoons. The north, once dry, now faces flash floods. Infrastructure built for the past can't keep up with today's extremes. Urban drainage systems are overwhelmed. Wilderness areas lack any protection. The government has put the nation on high alert, investing in better forecasting and early warning. The goal moved from reacting to anticipating disasters, getting people out of harm's way. The lesson is clear. Complacency is no longer an option. The Inner Mongolia tragedy highlights the risks of wild camping and adventure tourism in China's remote areas. As more people seek escape in nature, they're drawn to unregulated, beautiful, but dangerous locations. These places lack safety infrastructure, reliable communication, and weather warnings. A clear sky overhead can be deceptive if storms rage upstream. Authorities have renewed urgent warnings: avoid wild areas during flood season. The challenge is convincing adventurers that safety must come before scenery. Public education is critical. People need to understand the real dangers, not just be told no. Knowledge, not just restrictions, will save lives. The floods have sparked urgent calls for better early warning systems in China. Despite investments in weather tech, gaps remain, especially in reaching people in remote areas. Warnings must be specific, localized, and actionable, not just forecasts of rain. The last mile of communication is crucial. Alerts must reach those in harm's way, even without internet or cell service. Solutions include text alerts, sirens, and more real-time monitoring in vulnerable zones. Technology alone isn't enough. Public education and clear emergency plans are vital. Communities need to know how to respond when warnings come. The lesson comprehensive warning systems are a necessity, not a luxury. The Inner Mongolia flood is a story of loss, but also a call to action. Hope lies in learning from tragedy, building resilience with knowledge, infrastructure, and foresight. Disaster preparedness must be revolutionized, smarter planning, better warnings, and public education. The tragedy should spark a national conversation about respecting nature's power. Responsible tourism means balancing adventure with awareness. Honoring the victims means ensuring others don't share their fate. By investing in science and preparedness, China can lead in climate adaptation. From tragedy, a safer future can emerge if we act together.